Thanks for joining me again for another Pixie Talks review vlog.
Pixie Talks, reviews and vlogs at Pixie Talks. Pixie Talks, reviews and vlogs at Pixie Talks.
Woo! So guys, I kind of messed up with how I was using Patreon. I was contacted and informed that I cannot actually do a raffle with Patreon. It's against their terms of service. So I'm going to be changing things up a bit. From now on, there will be a poll every week, and patrons will have access to this poll to vote on what I should review next. The poll will include Patreon suggestions as well as whatever I've happened to watch recently, and I am still only taking requests and suggestions from Patreon. Thank you for bearing with me. And again, if there is something that you have always wanted to see me review, or if you just really like my content and would like to support me, please consider pledging to the Patreon. And with that, let's move right into this week's review as requested by Lauren over at Patreon. Mystery Science Theater 3000!
In the not too distant future, next Sunday AD, there was a guy named Joel, not too different from you or me. He did a good job cleaning up the place, but his boss didn't like him, so they shot him into space. We'll send the cheesy movies, the worst we can find. He'll have to sit and watch them all, then we'll monitor his mind. You're wondering how he eats and breathes and other science facts. Then repeat to yourself, it's just the show. I should really just relax. For Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Mystery Science Theater 3000 is an odd series. If you are unfamiliar, it is a cult classic that has been running since the late 80s. It features a young man held captive by evil scientists and forced by these villains to watch bad movies. The series covers one bad movie per episode and just features the main character and his robot friends watching and roasting said film. Kind of like watching a movie with the commentary on, except the commentary is making fun of it. Now, despite the show's rather bizarre premise, the show does have a fairly large cult following. I have been aware of this show for quite some time, but never really got into watching it before. But I have been really trying to give it a shot, especially since I do know how beloved it is, and I have been recommended it several times over the years. It has also recently been rebooted as well on Netflix, so there is a rendition with more modern references and humor. So I've been trying to get into it, and honestly, I've just been having some trouble trying to understand the hype. And please don't send me hate. I know this show is very well loved. I swear I'm not trashing on it. I've watched a bit of both the classic run and the reboot series now, and it seems like the mechanics of the show comes in two parts. The largest part of the show is the movies that they are watching, and featuring Jonah, or Joel in the older one, and his robot companions roasting it. The other part of the show involves sketches involving the main character and his robot friends, or the villains and their shenanigans. These sketches are weird. In the reboot, the villains are played by Felicia Day and Patton Oswalt. Both of these are very funny actors, and I do like their work. So I was just a little confused why their skits weren't really working for me. Eventually, though, it kind of hit me. The entire setup of the scenario, the skits, the sets, the hammy-over-topness of the acting, just feels very much like a goofy homemade production. It reminded me a lot of, like, comedy videos me and my friends might have made in high school, or community-geared projects like filmed church plays. Essentially, it has the vibe of stuff that is funny only because it was your friends that made it. And just weird and kind of nonsensical to anyone that's not in your immediate circle. I felt like I was watching a stranger's goofy home movie, which, again, please don't send me hate. I absolutely understand that that's exactly the tone they were going for. I really do get that. There's just a certain level of absurdism to it that just isn't really my thing. Listen, I have never been high, but I feel like I almost might need to be high to properly enjoy this level of surrealism. But it is interesting to note that the actual actors and characters in the show are going for that on-purpose bad vibe while they are roasting actually bad movies. Speaking of, watching the movies that the show features is pretty darn fun. I was already familiar with Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. In fact, I've reviewed it on this channel before. I am totally down for the premise of watching bad movies and roasting them with friends, which I guess is what the main appeal of this show is. But here's the thing. I do feel like I could get the exact same experience just from putting these movies in on their own and watching them with friends and us roasting it ourselves. Like, the jokes from the characters in the show are funny, but a lot of them are pop culture related and thus doomed not to age well, and quite honestly, it might be just as fun or more to make your own jokes. What I'm saying is this. I do think that the show itself isn't strictly necessary to give you the experience that is its primary appeal. That said, it does have a cute cast of its own characters, and although the skits kind of feel like a fever dream to me, there is something charming there in its own right, especially if that style of humor really works well for you. Kinga, Max, and Jonah in the new reboot series are especially ridiculously over the top, so it's interesting to see how they all interact. The acting is on point for exactly what it's supposed to be. I don't think I'm the target market for this show. Its jokes just don't land well enough for me to really make me a fan. But hey, there's plenty of things that I think are funny that other people don't get the appeal of. It's not bad, I just don't really get it. And that's okay. I'd really love to see, though, an episode featuring my favorite bad movie, Battlefield Earth. That one is really ripe for the roasting.
Mayday, mayday, mayday. We need your help.
Needs my help.
Mayday, mayday.
There was a guy named Jonah, not too different from you or me. The distress call came in for him at noon. That's when an evil woman trapped him on the dark side of the moon.
I'll send him cheesy movies, the worst I can find. He'll have to sit and watch them all, and we'll monitor his mind.
Wondering how he eats and breathes and other science facts. Just repeat to yourself, it's just a show. I should really just relax. For Mystery Science Theater 3000.
And that's it for my review of Mystery Science Theater 3000! Hope you enjoyed the video. Do be sure to subscribe, and there is a poll on Patreon to help me choose the next thing to review. And we are moving into October, so you know what that means. Spooky stuff. Please do consider pledging to my Patreon if you have something you've always wanted to see me review, or if you just really like my content and would like to support me. I would greatly appreciate it. And with that, I'll see you guys next week.